here with the beast of bleeding Kansas, the top of the food chain, the Carnivore, Remington Rhor, and you're here drinking at Moe's.
All right, everybody. Want to thank Reaper Apparel for having Drinkin at Moe's be a brand ambassador. They encourage everybody to break out of that comfort zone, live their best self, which, hey, that's what got me starting the podcast. But they got great clothing, great apparel, t-shirts, hoodies, beanies, hats, all that good stuff. Be sure, link will be in the description, and use the code Drinkin at Moe's to get 10% off your order. Let's fucking go.
All right, everybody, welcome to Drinkin at Moe's. Big Mo here. As always, YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, all the good shit, because it helps with the pain in the ass algorithm over there. We're in most places you can find your audio podcast too. Today, I'm excited to have with me a guy I've been looking forward to talk to for a little bit here. Remington Rhor, how you doing?
I'm good, brother. How you holding in there?
Oh yeah, no, I've been doing good myself. I actually just got done. Was it last night? Like a day or two. No, it was 2 days ago now. I have some of my days mixed up, but just recorded probably one of my bigger ones that I've ever done, next to Alex Cologne or Bronson Reed. But John Wayne Murdoch, I just talked to him a couple days ago, so I was like,
I love John Wayne.
Oh,
dude.
Oh yeah. It took us a little bit to get that one scheduled because, personal stuff with me, and then, the crazy schedule he keeps, but we got it done.
Oh yeah.
But first thing I like to start off with, my first time guest, is what got you started as a fan, and then what got you started deciding to make the leap into the business?
Sure. As a fan, what originally got me started actually was not watching on TV, but the video games. So like my cousins, who are pretty much my older brothers, played like No Mercy, and when like the PlayStation came out, we played with those. And
oh yeah,
I was super attracted to like the big monster characters. I've been a monster kid since always, so I always loved like the Undertaker and Kane, Big Show, Mankind, like
oh yeah,
that way. And then let's say around like 10 or 11, I had my childhood best friend who, side note, actually also grew up to be a professional wrestler as well. He got me into it, watching Monday Night Raw, watching Friday Night SmackDown. At the time, watching, well, I guess a little later, watching ECW on Tuesdays, and then watching TNA on Thursdays. So we'd meet up every 4 days a week, man, and watch our shows, and
nice,
mega fans that way. So
oh yeah, and then making the leap into the business, because I've heard all sorts of different stories of different moments people decided, you know what, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, so the same dude I grew up with, we yarded for a while, and we were like younger, and then eventually I grew out of it, but like stayed a fan here and there, but I got really into music. So eventually, like, graduated high school, started going to college. Same dude hits me up. We kind of stopped being as close of friends, and he hits me up one day. He's like, "Hey man, you still like wrestling?" I was like, "Hell yeah." He's like, "You want to get in the ring?" I was like, "It's a joke?" He's like, "No, we have this training spot out. It's about an hour and a half away from where I lived in Kansas." He's like, "You want to come in the ring? You want to take a couple bumps and come to training? Let's see what you think." So go out there and talk to the head trainer there, and he's like, "You ever taken a bump before?" I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, "In a ring?" I was like, "No." I'm like, ground or concrete. He's like, "This is gonna feel way better, so don't worry about it." So I take that first bump, and that first bump gave me the itch that kind of went all the way up to here, man.
Oh yeah, and you mentioned Kansas. I'm actually just up in Omaha.
Okay, so you're a little, a little north, but you're right there. That's where I'm from, man. I'm from Wichita, so
Okay, yeah, I got in-laws down in Kansas City, so
okay.
I'm down kind of little ways off of Wichita, but I'm kind of down Missouri, Kansas way handful of times a year.
Yeah, I think you're about 4.5, 5 hours north, so not too
Yeah,
bad. That's nothing to me now. I used to make that Kansas City trip like all the time because I used to play in a band up there, so I go up there and play shows or you know,
gotcha. Yeah,
good time up
no, and
there.
then you mentioned some of the video games. Now those are man some classics that you're talking about with the wrestling ones.
Oh yeah,
My like I thought that my parents might have sold off my old Nintendo 64. So I was like, damn it. I found somebody that I used to work with that was selling me theirs for cheap. And well, wouldn't you know, we got some stuff from my parents' house. And well, there's my old Nintendo 64, and there's my old copy of No Mercy. And
that's the
now I
gold
have
right
No
there.
Mercy, WrestleMania 2000,
Yep.
WCW NWO Revenge, and World Tour. I got the whole gambit of them.
Yeah, man, that's the Trinity right there. Like at least until I think SmackDown versus Raw is like the first one is like the epitome. That roster is
Oh,
so
yeah.
good. The hardcore matches are good. Like I always just think about how sick it is. You could like I love Rhino. That's like my favorite wrestler ever. But just being able to gore somebody off the Titan truck, like it's like the best feeling.
No, yeah. No, and I mean, hell, you even go into some of them and some of them now, and it's like, holy crap, how far things have come and the amount of stuff you're able to do, including I have both Fight Forever and 2K23. And good Lord, I didn't expect that exploding barbed wire mode in Fight Forever was going to be as fun as it was, but oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, I have a couple buddies that have played through Fight Forever, and it's pretty rad. Like the graphics take a minute for me to get used to, but like all the mechanics and the
Yeah.
super deathmatch stuff's pretty rad.
Oh yeah, it definitely was a little different at first, but once I got the hang of the controls and stuff, kind of like most of the time with video games, I noticed that the way I like to describe it is like No Mercy, WrestleMania 2000 and uh, Revenge, just updated graphics. The control scheme is pretty much the same.
Yeah,
So
can't really
it's
go.
all no. Go ahead.
I'll say you can't really go wrong with your old triggers to be reversals, your punch kicks, grapples, throws, stuff like that.
And a lot more simple than some of the wrestling games have been as of late, where it's like you gotta press this button and this button to do this and that, and yeah,
It's too complicated. That's no fun.
yeah, oh yeah, no. But one thing that I've known with you when it comes to some of the matches you've been in that are freaking intense. I mean, we've talked about how I've had Flophouse on, and I've seen you just posting stuff about Circle Six and some of the stuff that they're involved in, and with heavy with deathmatch stuff. The one thing that I like to ask pretty much anybody I know that even dabbles in death matches is something that I know I made the mistake of actually watching GCW with my mother-in-law happened to walk in one time, and she's like, "Isn't that illegal?" And basically asking why death matches.
Oh man, so that's a layered answer. That's a
I bet.
That's the way I'll put that. So I'll kind of revert the timeline back a little bit. So
Yeah.
during that time when I was discussing like yarding with my friends, um, we happily got the advantage of having YouTube and having all the crazy wrestling forums eventually. So everybody started uploading matches through forums we could download and watch later on. Handfuls of those being a lot of CZW tapes. So like I watched, like one that pops in my mind, like very first, like ultra violent anything that comes in my head is Sick Nick Mondo and Wife Beater, and watching Mondo take, the Diesel Weed Whacker right after the 200 light tubes match. And I'm like, this is brutal. This is gross. And I love all of this. So,
yeah.
And that kind of caught the ball rolling. Started looking for more stuff like that. Like I watched all the old ECW stuff, the no rope barbed wires with Sabu and Terry Funk, like watching the Rottens go at it, watching, all the crazy high spots that New Jack used to do. And then, kind of the same way you listen to music, like you like your rock music, and then eventually you kind of want heavier stuff.
Yeah.
So I like my Sabbath, man. I want my Maiden. Now I want my, my Megadeth, and then you eventually get like Cannibal Corpse and Devourment, like that. So I started watching BJW and watching scissor board matches and watching exploding Shark Tank light tube matches or shit like that from FMW, and then eventually, like that was kind of my goal when I started wrestling anyway, was to get to that. But obviously I want to become a good wrestler so I can be the best deathmatch wrestler I could be.
Yeah.
So, I had years of regular wrestling leading into my first deathmatch with Pondo. And so another reason why I think it kind of breaks down to like I've kind of quoting Schlack, and I'm quoting Neil Cutter with this. So you kind of have to have a certain level of not liking yourself. It's a certain level of self-hate. No, like for real though, right?
No, I can understand. I can understand that. Yeah.
Like what rational person is going to go out? Like I'm going to take like me, for example, like nobody should go out there shirtless, bumping on broken glass, throwing themselves through barbed wire, taking Kinsons to the literally aerating your skull and eating light tubes at the same time.
Yeah. No, understandable, definitely.
Yeah, it's I would never take it as far as like extreme. Well, it is extreme, but like purposely injuring ourselves over and over again, because then we can do what we do anyway. But it's kind of a weird form of masochistic therapy. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
See that. Yeah, I was trying to remember. I think it was around the time. It might have been shortly after the Blood and Guts match that just happened on AEW, where we were talking. Me and a friend, I believe we might have been actually watching Death Before Dishonor, and we were talking about thumbtack spots, and we're like, I could see myself maybe doing a thumbtack spot, but I'd have to have a shirt on. And he's like, I don't even know if I would do it with one. And I'm like, well, the way I look at it, you get them in your back. All you got to do is just kind of lift out your shirt.
Yeah, if you get your back, it's not too bad. It's when you get those soft bits that suck. When you get like right into your elbow, or your arms, or into your head, or like I used to get ones in the back of my legs a lot. I don't even know how they'd end up there, but they'd get there. So maybe because these guys were Rikishi drivers, so I'd freaking Rikishi driver people's heads in the tacks. So get a lot in the back of my legs.
Man, that's some stuff. Like I know I've been to. Oh boy, I've been to one no ring deathmatch show, and Lord, that was some. I actually won a raffle to where everybody on the card autographed a section of a door that got broken in a match, and I actually have it just off to the side here.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love no rings.
Oh man, it was real funny when my wife first saw it, and she's like, "Is that blood on there?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah."
It's very true for people who I know, like I actually explained this to my mom when I first started doing this, like because she, all parents once they realize you're doing this kind of have a weird like, oh holy shit moment. because she didn't understand, in the E or all the TV stuff, like all the blood's real. And she's like, "Oh yeah, it's fake." I'm like, "No, no." And then I kind of, I broke things down for her a bit, and she kind of freaked out. And then, like I tried to hide my back from her for like a real long time. But eventually, she saw me at a show with my shirt off, and I was like, "Well, can't take him back now." Like, I love all my scars, so I'm happy with them. I got to pull in my body, my choice at my mom, which was funny.
Yeah, no, that is pretty awesome. I know, man. You know what? Now that I think about it, I didn't think I mentioned this when I brought up Alex Cologne, which one of my favorite episodes. We talked about collecting and all that, but I
Yeah.
actually, when he mentioned he was going to be investing in some new kick pads, so he was selling off his old ones, and I was like, "How much?" He's like, "Make me an offer." So I did. Now I have them
That's sick.
signed and everything. I'm like, I'm getting them framed, and we're getting that shit up on the wall.
I usually sell off like merch wise. I since I use machetes all the time in my matches, and so I have like I kind of talk about story wise, who I've carved up with these. Like, a last one I just sold, I was like, yeah, I got Mickey Knuckles with this one, I got Necro Butcher with this one, I got XYZ with whoever which one it was. And that's one like fans always freak out about. Like, man, this is really cool. It's like, you can buy it as long as you're 18. I don't care. I want a kid running around with a machete. But like,
That would be a little awkward.
yeah. Hey,
Never
some
know.
of them have disappeared after matches, so I don't know where they've gone, but
Ah,
that's what it is.
one thing I've always been fascinated with when it comes to deathmatch wrestling is some of the names that get brought up for the names of the matches. Like
Yeah.
one that I believe it was one. I'm trying to look at my notes here. Terracotta Torture.
Oh, with Eric Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
I know
like,
exactly.
holy crap. How did, like, one, I guess my couple of questions I have with that one. One, what all does that entail? And two, how the hell did that go? Because
So
I would love to end up watching it at some point, but I'm like incredibly curious to hear from you on that.
sure. So Eric's been kind of, making terracotta pots his gimmick, his main weapon, which like it's really cool. I've never seen it in the States before. I know like a few guys in BJW, what they'll do is they'll get the pots, they'll put them in a bag, they'll break them up, and then throw them like loose tacks, but it's like clay pots. So it's these huge shrapnel, hard clay bits like covering the ring.
Oof.
So that's kind of what happened with us is we had different, flower pots of different sizes throughout the ring, and we wrestled and beat on each other real fucking hard. And eventually, getting a hold of the pots, we kind of broke them apart and made them pretty much the new covering of the ring and wrestled around those. Like, I remember one spot he tried to catch me off guard and he threw me a pot, like tried to chuck it at me, and I caught it and he drop kicked it into me because I wasn't paying attention, because I was paying more attention not get smacked in the face with it.
Oh,
So, but it's brutal. Like those things can really rough you up.
I can only imagine. Like, Lord, those pots are
They're
nothing to
sick.
mess around with, and like you get them sharp edges when you get them broken up and stuff. Holy shit!
Yep.
And like you mentioned some stuff with like Big Japan and FMW. And it's like even more so with them. It's like, holy crap! How the hell do you come up with the names for this shit?
It's just you got to get creative, man. You can't just keep doing, oh, it's 100 light tubes. Oh, it's, just your regular barbed wire match. You got to get creative. That's part of the deathmatch world that I think a lot of people are kind of missing. Well, at least a lot of the newer guys are missing. Is everybody's like, oh, I got to have glass for a match. I'm like, if you need to have glass for a match, you need to get those wheels turned a little more. Like shoot, man. Like I had one of my favorite death matches I've had when I first started was a triple threat between me, Aiden Blackheart, and this Indiana cat named Chet Ripley. we had nothing in that match but like 20 steel chairs, a hacksaw, a dab rig, and a staple gun, and that's it. But dude, that entire crowd was up on their feet about halfway through the match and did not sit down. You know,
Oh man, yeah.
I ended up throwing the dude off a balcony through a giant like chair pyramid structure. I got my mouth stapled shut. Like, it was wild.
Oh man, you brought up a spot that reminded me of probably one of the. I have a question later that I'll try to think of something else while we're going through this interview, but something that you just said reminded me of this spot that I normally use for my example of a crazy moment I seen in a match. And it was actually Jake Chris versus Joel Bateman at Sami Callahan's promotion, Wrestling Revolver.
Okay.
And it was my first ever, what I call legit death match, where it's not like just a hardcore match that they're calling a death match.
Right.
But the match before it was a multi-person Monsters Ball match. So there was all sorts of shit already throughout the ring, thumbtacks, glass, barbed wire. They're getting ready to clean it up. Jake Chris rolls in. It's like, fuck it, leave it, let's go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right. Like, most of the people that I normally watch wrestling around might have thought I was a little crazy, but I'm like, yes, let's go. And then it ended by them, they bridged 2 panes of glass on 4 folding chairs, and then Bobby Olson comes in, and I'm like, what the hell is he doing? And then he pulls out something from his pocket. It ends up it's lighter fluid. They light the glass on fire and both of them through it. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yep. That's the way to do it.
Oh God. And then that no ring show, good Lord. There were some of the matches on there that didn't have the stereotypical glass, barbed wire, although there was some around. But it was mostly, oh boy, I'm wanting to say there was a few doors, steel chairs. I think there was a golf club in there somewhere.
A couple of those, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. I think moment I remember specifically from that show was part of a light tube, like that metal connecting end that usually goes into whatever when it's actually being used.
Yeah.
Flew off and hit me in the foot. And I'm like, sweet.
Oh yeah, I've had a few fans get cut up from just like random shrapnel. Like where was it? I was wrestling in Insane 8 last year, that tournament up in Wisconsin, and I don't know what was up with the glass. I always make jokes about it called Japanese bouncy glass, but like I saw, who was it? I think it was Akira, was throwing like tubes at somebody, and it kept bouncing off of them and like going out of the ring. Like the tube would not break and would just go out.
Oh
And
no.
so eventually it broke, but went out, and one of the fans got cut by the glass. Like that happens here and there. We try to avoid it as much as possible because
Yeah.
they're not getting played to fucking, dismember themselves like we do. So
God. Yeah.
Hard being a deathmatch fan. Sometimes you get a little more interactive than you think.
Oh hell. I've been front row for a match that it was actually here in Omaha for some friends of mine. They called it the Prisoner of War match, which I basically describe it as war games without the cage. Mm-hmm. Where like people will be handcuffed to different parts of the ring, different corners. You get let in, uncuffed and let in every so often. One friend got hit in the head with a light tube. A bundle of them actually, face all bloodied up. He gets sent spinning right in front of me, and before I know it, there's blood all over me, on my phone, and I'm like, dude.
Part of being the fan, I suppose.
Yeah, totally. Now, when I mentioned Flophouse, when I had them on, I had Schwartzy on, and shout out to him. I need to have him back on because we had some technical difficulties in his show that I would like to basically have a redo. But he mentioned a match that I believe happened recently. Correct me if I'm wrong there. But you and MM3, and there was a little post-match altercation, we'll just put it that way.
Yeah, I used him as an example. I was getting really tired of, folks just kind of showing up and walking in, getting shots of the Flophouse title, and kind of made it a point that I should be the one up next in line for it. Not
no,
big folk like
that makes sense when you're one of the people that's there a little more frequently, and then you think, hey, I should be in line for something like that, and then some guy just walking in every so often, and then they're getting it ahead of you, and it's like, shit, I'm here all the time. That should be me up there.
That's right. I'm freaking the apex animal of Flophouse. That's a fact.
So most definitely, I mean, hell, looking at you and looking at some of those matches I see out there, you know what? And I mean this as the biggest compliment. You remind me out there like a reincarnation of Bruiser Brody.
I'm thankful for that. I'm not mad about that. I love Brody. So,
oh man, I'll even date myself because he was one of my earliest memories of like, holy crap. I just turned 40 a couple weeks ago, but that's a whole nother story. But I remember seeing him walking out there on TV, and I'm like, good God, that guy's crazy.
Yep. Next thing you know, he's fighting in the stands with Abdul the Butcher, freaking just gushing blood, getting forked, throwing chains. Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. Oh man, one of my early favorites, and that hell, still to this day, one of my favorite episodes of Dark Side of the Ring was his one on the.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. Vice.
The situation there in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Sad situation, but damn, what hell of an impact that he made on me. And I know there's a handful of other people out there that credit him and some of the crazy situations, all the way from that cage match situation he had with Lex Luger.
Oh yeah, I was just about to bring that one up. I'm like, that shit's fucking. That's a golden moment for Brody.
Oh God! Like I remember seeing documentaries of that situation in there. I'm like, dude, I wish I was there.
That's definitely somebody I wish I could have met. Like, I'm thankful enough to meet a lot of my heroes that got me into wrestling and kind of molded how I am. That's definitely one of them I wish I could have. The only one that's really like around that I probably could still check off is Taz. So I had to meet Taz.
He would be a one I would love to meet. I've been, like you, been able to meet a handful. Some of them are up there, but some of them I have different artifacts that I still need to hang up. I got the first ECW One Night Stand signed by Jericho.
Ooh, what a good pay-per-view.
That was awesome. Yeah. That Masato Tanaka versus Mike Awesome match in there, god damn. Yeah. Then I have a couple signed by Edge, but my favorite one was I forget which year of the Elimination Chamber, but Edge is on the cover and it looks like he's biting the cage. Mm-hmm. I have that signed by him.
That's sick.
That was a good one. The one that I haven't met that I really, really want to, and probably the only person that, like, I don't get starstruck too easily, but if I ever met him, I seriously don't know if I could get a word out. Stone Cold Steve Austin.
That's a Pantheon level, icon right there. So I get it. It's pretty wild to meet him.
I've literally told my wife that in the very large chance that I would ever get him on my podcast. I could never do another one, and I would be just as happy. Because in my head, I would be like, how the hell am I going to top that?
Yeah, that's your white whale. That's your big fish, man, right there.
You
get that. That'd be sick.
Because, I mean, I've had some pretty big names on. Like, I think I mentioned I've had, well, at the time going by Jonah, but Bronson Reed. I've had Alex Cologne, John Wayne Murdoch. One that I seriously doubted that he was going to say yes, but he ended up doing it. Former owner of Ring of Honor, Kerry Silkin.
Oh, damn, that's cool.
That was pretty sweet. So, like, I've had some pretty good names, and only hoping that they could happen more often. I mean, I've been invited out more than once to Warrior Wrestling based out of Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
I've actually been out to their St. Louis stop, but I've been meaning to get back out there for them because I've done preview shows for them multiple times.
Yeah.
So,
well, shoot, man. I mean, you're not too far away from Chicago. You should come up for the Circle 6 show in September.
You know what? As long as I don't have a family thing, I'm going to have to try to see what I can do to make that happen.
Good 6-man tournament, man. It'll be cool.
You know what? Now that you're bringing it up, I'm going to see what I can do to make that happen. That would be pretty sweet. Now, speaking of, Circle 6 and some people that they've had going through there, I have some names on here, some 2 categories that I kind of like to round stuff off with a little bit. I try to get as many people that you shared a ring with, or at least shared a locker room with, and you give me quick thoughts on the person when you hear their name.
Okay.
Couple of these have actually, all but one has actually been a former guest of the show, actually.
Okay. First
one, Madman Pondo.
Oh man, that's my deathmatch dad. That's one of the. I always put him up before I met him. I still put him there, but he's in the Mount Rushmore. He's the OG. Yeah, he is. It's like him, Necro, like Zandig, Masada are like that OG. American deathmatch wave. So.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Can't say so many good things about Pondo.
I think one thing I remember from when I had him on is I started off with calling him a deathmatch legend, and he tried to downplay it, and I'm like, dude, when you think of OG deathmatch legends, the OG deathmatch Mount Rushmore, if you will.
Yep.
I told him, you are on there for the vast majority of the people I know.
Oh yeah. He was the first for so much stuff.
Oh yeah. Next up, the fire starter. Guy I mentioned in one of my craziest moments I've ever seen live, Jake Christ.
Jake Christ. We've shared quite a few locker rooms together. He has had my first match at ICW with him in the chains. We beat the shit out of each other in that match. He's wild. He's a really he's like in the ring, man. He's such a how do I put it? He's such a crowd worker. He's such a he's there for the audience. Either he's making you hate his guts, or he's making you scream to the rafters for him. And he's just in the back though. He's a really intellectual dude. So every time he perks up about the business or psychology, I'm always kind of shutting up and listening. He's a smart cat.
Oh yeah, like I remember when I had him on, it was shortly after the video that he released, him burning the Mid-South belt. And the way I liken it to how I tried to ask him to be on was kind of how Paul Heyman asked Stone Cold to come to ECW, where he's like, you got a grievance, I got a show. Let's air it.
Let's air it out. Yeah.
And man, what a fun interview that was. And I've made no secret of some of the personal stuff that's happened the last year.
Right.
And first time that I got to meet him actually in person at a show was it might have been later that night after that moment that I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking with him about some of the stuff that had happened. And good Lord, he, like, if I wasn't already enough of a fan of his, like, before that night, dude, fan for life after that.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Next up, actually the most listened to episode of mine on the audio platforms. I just checked this. Satu Jin.
Satu. Oh man, we fought each other so much now. I was thinking about the other day. I was like, how many times we scored off? And I was like, it's over. I want to say 5 or 6 now. In the ring, like I always kind of feel like we really channel that Brody Abdullah like action, man. Like he's the, me and him have talked about it. He's definitely like the modern day Abdullah in the death match.
I was just thinking that.
You know, he fits that mold. He has the same kind of actions. He's a wild man. Outside, you know, I can't say enough good things about him either. Like he's a really sweet dude, and I've been in the car with him for, you know, if you combine the hours, days worth of hours. So we spent a lot of good times together. We had a lot of laughs and, you know, wild conversations, serious and super not serious, you know, all kinds of good stuff.
Awesome. Now, last but not least, this guy, that show that I won the door at, it was actually his promotion that they ran here in Omaha, which apparently they're going to be doing that a little more frequently.
I have a
the
guess.
Carver.
Yeah, Carver. Man, the man who robbed me of my Prince of the Deathmatch tournament win. Because he was the only dude in that whole tournament I was worried about, and he got me first round. And I was like, damn it. He hit me with that Impaler DDT into face first into a board full of light bulbs. Not light tubes, light bulbs.
Ooh.
But yeah, he's a monster among men. He's the dude who walks around as a baby face that's actually made out of baby faces.
Yeah, that mask of his is something else.
Yeah. It's a weird like respect thing because it's like, you know, as a monster man myself, once we're in the ring together, man, we know exactly what the MO is. We're here to beat each other until one of us can't move anymore. And you know, whatever antics he gets into outside the ring, that's on him and the police. But you know, I respect the Carver for what he does.
Oh yeah. I mean, hell, his promotion mid-death, I mean, like I said, I've been told they're going to be running Omaha a little more frequently. Yep. Maybe get you out here, have some run-ins with Mel Carver or maybe some of the other people they have on that roster of theirs.
Funny enough, though, I've been to mid-death 2 times, and both of my fights have sent my opponents both to the hospital.
Oh, damn.
One of those being Carver.
So. Oh, yeah. You know, I'm trying to think. Was one of those, because a friend of mine was supposed to have a no-rope barbed wire match with him here in Omaha the day after a mid-death show.
That was the one where he fought me.
That I was gonna say, because I heard he got a pretty nasty injury that show, and you know what? I never got told who it was that he was facing that night. Now I know.
Yep. Him. He got sent. He had stitches because he got his lower back real shredded up. And then who was it? Keaton Stoneburner was the next time I was there. Same situation. I beat his head in because I hit him with, you know, I got some Fafo energy punched into me when I fought Necro, so now I got these hands on me. So I got him with, you know, straight right, straight left. So I used to box too, so I got that out on there. I think a little bit of head trauma and some real deep bleeding in his back. He had to go to the hospital too. So,
oh boy, yeah. Well, I'll mention that off the recording. I try to keep this podcast as positive as much as possible. So the thing I got with him, not very positive. I'll just say that.
That's fine.
But like I said, I try to keep it positive on the show as much as possible. So
hey, then you probably enjoy me freaking punching his face in it. But so it's just that's on you. Like,
yeah, no, I'll give you that definitely.
people enjoy the violence.
Next up, I have some random questions. Some might be wrestling related, some might not be.
Sure.
You just give the first answer that pops in your head when you hear the question.
Sure.
This is the one that I like to lead off with more often than not. Craziest in-match moment for you?
Oh, man. I'm gonna call it a tie. Call it a tie. So might be a three-way tie. First tie was when the first death match when I got hit with that Pondo stop sign. That was definitely one of those moments where I'm sitting there just like, it's one of those ones thinking back to like childhood room, watching Pondo on the tapes, and then playing him in backyard wrestling and being like, man, it's like this is me on the receiving end of the stop sign that I've watched so many times now. It's wild. And then second one, I guess, is kind of a three-parter. So AWR in Indianapolis, which is the Solemn Wrestling Revolution, has a deathmatch tournament every year. I was in the second one and the third one. The third one, I went all the way to the finals. And in that finals was me, Josh Crane, Raven Havoc from North Carolina, and the Necro Butcher. And the two parts of it, I guess three parts of it, was I got to sit across, directly across chair to chair and had a bar fight with the Necro Butcher. And I got a facial scar from it, and I freaking got, I got rocked because that dude's hands are the size of fucking lunch boxes filled with brain. Because I don't know if you've met Necro, but he is a shoot like 6'7". He's got 14,
big dude,
15 size boots, huge dude. And I was like, oh, he's old. It's like, no. Like ever since he got over that cancer, man, he has like anti-cancer. He keeps getting stronger every day.
Yep. Nope.
I traded bar fight shots with Necro, and then ended up pinning the Necro Butcher to go on to win that deathmatch tournament. Was definitely like big hallmark moment for me. So
most definitely. Like I said, I mentioned one that I got to see live. The other one actually involved one of my real good friends that he was actually the best man at my wedding. That's a whole nother story. But this promotion had their version of the Money in the Bank ladder match. And they had a ladder bridge, like, I'll use this, between guardrail, ring apron. Okay. And he had Sheamus and his white noise were like the freaking head down here.
Yeah. Air raid crash. Yeah.
The air raid crash. That's the other move I was thinking of. And then I see him, I'm on the other side of the ring, and he's looking down at the ladder. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Looks down one more time. Literally, the ladder just goes.
Snaps in half.
Oh, God. It looked brutal.
Ladder bumps are gross.
Oh, God. And then the other one, I wasn't there, but I was watching it as it happened. That scary moment with Hoodfoot where he like got that nasty cut and they actually stopped the match all of a sudden.
Yeah, when he got stabbed. Yeah.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Yelled at his ass after that. That's a brother. That's a real close brother of mine. So
that's awesome. Oh man, he's definitely on my bucket list of deathmatch people that I want to have on real bad.
I'll bug him for you. He's a ham. He's got stories that I'll let him repeat.
That's awesome. Now, I ask a lot of people this, especially to people that have been involved in death matches. What is a weapon that you would like to avoid being used in a match if you had the choice?
Avoid toothpicks.
John Wayne Murdoch and Alex Colon both said that without missing a beat.
Yep. toothpicks. Funny enough, that's one of my first interactions with Alex. Was we were both working in the Lord of Anarchy tournament, and we were outside looking at weapons, and both of us looked down and saw this like massive like Nerf pool noodle just covered in freaking toothpicks. I looked at it, he looked at me, he looked at it, grabbed it, and just chucked it into the woods. He's like, "Nope, not gonna." No, I'm like, I was like, "Thank you for doing the thing that I was just about to do."
Oh God, yeah. It's like I've talked with both him and John Wayne Murdoch about, like you could get lucky when you get hit and you get the whole thing out. You could be lucky and have that happen. But very likely chance you break off the wrong piece and it gets embedded in there and
then it's
all that shit.
infection city, because that's the problem. It's like if it was something metal or glass in you, it's not organic, so it's not gonna. It has a lower chance of getting infected. But now if it's wood, it has so much bacteria on it because it's an organic material. That's infection city. Like that's like that's why John got fucked up so bad from his toothpick incident. So
yeah, no, you know what? Before I asked that to Alex, I had never really thought about it. But after talking with him, John, you, I'm like, yeah, no, totally get it. Even if I ever thought about doing death matches, I'm like, yeah, no. I would be like Alex in that story you told. Chuck that in the garbage.
Yeah, man. I'd rather take cactus again than take toothpicks.
Oh, cactus, like damn.
Yeah, man. Me and Randy West had a prickly situation death match. No rope, barbed wire, cactus death match.
Ouch. I hurt just hearing about that.
So I got my ear pierced the one and only time because she softball pitched like a bulb cactus into my head and it went right through. Yeah.
Ouch. Now, I asked this, but I have people that are in recovery. They just don't drink. They're straight edge, whatever.
Sure.
And, to be respectful, but with a name of a show like Drinkin' and Moe's, I would feel weird if I didn't have this question in here somewhere. Favorite drink, whether alcoholic, non, or one of each if you want.
I'll give you one each. So I'm a big whiskey and Coke guy.
Okay.
That's like my go-to almost every show, every bar. If I get to make it at home, I drink this brand called Wolf Moon. That's what I like. It's a pretty mid-range whiskey. If it comes to beer, I like a lot of sours. I'm an IPA guy too. During the daytime I work at a brewery, so I get access to lots of beer throughout the day.
Nice. Go ahead.
Oh, I was say for non-alcoholic stuff, man. I'm a big Mr. Pibb guy. And then
Dr. Pepper here myself.
I like pepper too, man. My mom was a super Dr. Pepper head, but I'm just like, I love me some Pibb, and then if we get one of those 100 machines, I love the cherry vanilla Pibb.
Yeah. No, I love those machines you see at different places where you can mix the different flavors in there. Yeah, that's some good stuff. Yeah, but alcohol, more of a beer guy, but I do enjoy a good whiskey and Coke. I actually I never had this until on my honeymoon, but whiskey Coke with grenadine. It basically like a Jack and Cherry Coke.
Mm-hmm.
Delicious.
Yep. My brother's a bartender. He used to make me those every once in a while. It's either that or when I was bartending, or I would do security at his bar, and he'd make me hot toddies close to the end of the night. So it'd be hot tea, and that lemon, and then that honey Jack mixed together.
Yeah, that Jack honey, that's some good stuff.
Dude, yeah, heat it up is a great way into the night. Usually I'd be working close to the winter time, so.
Yeah, that would be a good way to warm up with them hot toddies. That would be. Yep. Next up, kind of non-wrestling related here, but if you could choose a vacation spot, where would you pick?
Oh man. It's hard in my head because I have a couple of it. Like I've met people like a lot more people throughout the world. And I'm trying to decide where I think New Zealand would be kind of a cool spot.
That would be.
Like I've got so many more friends from Australia now. Like Joel, you're bringing him up, and a lot of those other deathmatch under guys I've met through traveling and stuff. And man, like it just sounds like such a beautiful spot. Like I've never been really surrounded by that much ocean and like that much, I guess, natural beauty because
Yeah.
like seeing the like I watch a lot of like Maui like Islander documentaries and stuff like that, and because I'm a kind of a tattoo nut, and like seeing that and then seeing like all the stuff, the background stuff from Lord of the Rings movies where they show all the stuff and like, man, this place looks fake. So I'm like, I'd love to go check this place out and see what it's like.
Oh, most definitely. I'm definitely in that boat with you there. I know me, if I'm having to pick an area I haven't been to, I wanted to say it was one of those Vin Diesel XXX movies where they're in those like bungalow cottage things over the water. I think like Bora Bora or Tahiti or some shit.
Oh yeah, kind of in like the like what they call that, the West Indies, kind of around there. Yeah.
That or and I'm a more of a beach guy in general. So like you give me a good beach pretty much anywhere. But my wife has been kind of turning me into a bit of a mountain person too. We actually were just in Colorado for a surprise trip for my birthday. We stayed in this cabin up near Winter Park, and man, that was some. First night we actually saw a bear.
Oh damn.
Yeah, there was a dumpster off for the group of cabins that were there, and it started walking up there, started digging through the dumpster. I got kind of close and I got a picture of it and literally just looked over at me like, what?
It was a big old black bear, probably.
Pretty decent sized black bear, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, hey, at least you could scare them off if need be. Those guys they're not too bad.
Now, you mentioned a little bit ago about some hard hitters you've been in the ring with. Who would you say is one of the hardest hitters?
So Necro's top for sure.
Yeah.
But besides Necro, because I'll do it before Necro was Mickey Knuckles.
I've heard that about her. Like there's a legit reason they call her an equal opportunity ass kicker.
Oh, 100%, man. She's the walking episode of Cops. I always called like, yeah, Mickey will beat your ass and she'll be your dentist is what I call her because we were fighting at VOW's Lord of Anarchy tournament. It was us, me and her in the first round, and we were doing back and forth forearms and just straight jabs. And she hit me with the jab right across my jaw so hard it shifted and chipped one of my wisdom teeth.
Ooh!
So I was like, oh damn! I felt that one, and then kept going. But I felt it afterwards, and it's funny enough, she shifted it to a point where it actually sits better now, and with the piece of it chipped off, it doesn't hurt as much. Like whenever it gets cold or whatever, I'm like, hey, thanks for being my dentist, Mickey. She's like, that's what I.
That is wild. Wow.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, I've heard that about her and about Necro. That it's just like, goddamn, they got like bricks for fists.
Oh yeah, Mickey will beat ass for sure. And then before that was Reed Bentley and Hoodfoot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. Now, best advice for anybody wanting to get into wrestling.
Trying to think of not just like the everyday is like, oh, practice and that kind of stuff. One thing I kind of always say, because a lot of people aren't doing it so much anymore, is I think a lot more folks should go to the gym and train as well as go and do your wrestling training. And I'm not saying that as if everybody needs to walk out looking like the Ultimate Warrior. Like that's not why I say go to the gym. Because I feel like a lot of people want to do a really intense move set, but don't have their own, know their own body well enough, and then have the physical strength to do a lot of stuff. Like I know I've seen so many new cats who want to be like, yeah, I want to do power bomb and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, can you pick me up though from like a dead weight position, you know? Because if something happens and somebody gets hurt or somebody, you know, doesn't stay tight, or you know, are you going to be able to rectify the situation and keep both of us safe? You know what I'm saying? You know, nobody wants to get tire driver 91 by accident.
No, that's definitely a good thing, because I mean, you could get the reps in the ring and that's good, but if you get to the point where, like you said, somebody gets, you know, a little loopy and they aren't as, you know, able to, you know, freely move around, and you have to kind of dead weight them.
Bro, you got to be strong enough to take care of you and them, and that kind of goes even equal to like knowing when you're not capable of doing something. You know, if you're too gassed, or in our situation, if you know, if you can't handle your blood, that's the way we kind of say it, you know, and you're just too gone. You know, you're not going to go and be like, all right, we're going to go do a stalling superplex off the top of the ladder through whatever. It's like, hey, let's figure this out a little bit, make sure we're both good, you know.
No,
still gonna fuck each other up to make sure we're good enough, you know. And that's advice on top of the make sure you find a reputable school. Don't just go to some random carny in the middle of XYZ. You know.
Oh yeah. Something I always bring up when people bring up that is, it's not like when growing up for me, where you'd maybe hear about a school and it would be 8 or more hours away.
Right.
You know, now, no matter what part of the country you're in, within a few hours, really, there seems to be a reputable school in just about every area of the country.
Oh yeah, you'll find probably at least I'd say probably 2, 3, at least in every state, if not more, you know.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And you know, so it makes it a lot easier to find those reputable schools, because you know, there's wrestling has so many options right now, from wrestling schools to promotions to streaming options to get your product out there. It's just so many options all the way around.
Yeah, it's the Baskin Robbins of wrestling, man. It's every flavor you could want.
Oh, most definitely. Now, before we go, where can people find you social media wise? So if they don't already have their eyes on you, they can go ahead and get them there.
Sure. You can find me and as Carnivore _Rhor on Instagram. That's probably the best place to really get a hold of me. Same goes for Twitter, but we'll see how long that's going to last.
Yeah.
Right now. Find me at Facebook under Remington Rhor. I have my regular profile page, which I'm pretty active with, and then my gimmick page. And then for merch right now, you can message me directly on Instagram, but I'll be working on getting a Deathmatch Worldwide store up soon. So you'll see a slew of new designs. I'm just waiting on art to get finished to put some new shirts out. So
nice. We'll get links to all that in the description. That is about all I have. I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me tonight, and best of luck out there in the deathmatch world.
Thank you, man. I'll be, you know, hopefully up by you with maybe mid-death. We can, you know, and I'll see you in Chicago too. Circle 6, man.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking into that. But yes, definitely would look forward to that.